Hello, welcome. This is Chris, or I am Chris. This is a live stream. We're just doing a quick test today. Well, we'll see how quick it is. We're doing a test today just to see the place where I am now, see what the quality of the stream is like. The connection seems a bit dodgy, so we're just going to see how it goes. How are you? This is Lesson Jigsaw. We are here for English language practice, and particularly for English language speaking practice. So if you want to be practicing speaking English, you can just send us a message in the chat, and we can see if we can do some practice. In the meantime, we're just sitting and chatting. Basically, I'm sitting and chatting to myself. I guess I haven't actually done this for a while, so I'm getting back used to it. I guess we would say. Now let's see if I add this here. So I'm going to make myself a bit smaller. So I guess I might as well, while I'm here, I might think about doing like a podcast recording. So 5 of 30. So let's talk about a topic about topics. So hello, welcome to this edition. So I'm going to have a sip of water first. That didn't sound too good. The throat is a bit croaky. Nice vocabulary, a bit croaky. So hello and welcome to this edition of 5 of 30. This is Lesson Jigsaw. My name is Chris, and today we're going to be talking about topics and what to speak about in English. And it's a lot of times, so many times, people come and say, I really don't know what to talk about. And I guess one of the best things to do is like get some time where you can just write down some topics or things that you're interested in, and like spend like a day or a couple of days or a weekend and just make a list of topics. So for example, maybe you like to talk about travel, things like that. Well, that's just a general interest you have. Maybe you like cars, motor vehicles, that sort of thing. Maybe you like weather. Maybe you're really, really interested in learning about the clouds, different sort of meteorological situations and things like that. So maybe not just general sort of weather chit chat, but actual like getting into the topics about weather. Maybe you like food and talking about food. Maybe you're a foodie, something like that. I guess what other sort of topics could you have? I guess sports is a classic one. Maybe you're into sports. Maybe you're into current affairs. Current affairs are basically things that are happening at the moment, topics that you will see in the world and that sort of thing. Maybe you like politics. Maybe you like gossip, talking about what's happening with people around you and that sort of thing. So, I mean, these are just like a quick list off the top of my head. And what I suggest you do with these is, let's say we've got the topic of food, yeah? So we'll make that sort of like the central thing. So when you've got the topic of food, you can talk about different elements. So I guess an obvious one might be to talk about the ingredients of food or with food. And with that, I guess you have things like you could talk about veggies, you've got fruit, you've got, I guess, meat, things like grains, and so on. And then I guess like when you talk about things like meat, so then you can, of course, go on. You could talk about lamb, you could talk about chicken, you could talk about beef, and so on. I think you can see what I'm doing here. Maybe other general topics. You could talk about recipes, maybe things that you like to cook. And that, of course, would relate to the ingredients as well. Maybe you like to talk about particular locations. And I guess maybe you want to talk about the cuisines that you've had in different locations. Maybe you could talk about places like, I don't know, Europe, Asia, whatever, different types of areas, the Americas. So I'll fit that in. and so on. And then say maybe if you're talking about the Americas, maybe you talk about, I don't know, ceviche or whatever, different types of things. And then you make this either like a list or like I've done here, sort of like a mind map type of thing. And then you can just do a few of these. And then when you go, okay, so what do I talk about? Then you already have a list of ideas and topics to go to. And then you find a friend, family member, someone else who's learning English, and you go and practice with them about one of those topics. That can be sort of at the front of your mind. And then you can also go, okay, I'm not really sure about what sort of words I can include, but when you start speaking, then you will start to get an idea of, oh, I don't know how to say this, or I don't know the word for this, or maybe there's a better expression I could use. Then you can go and research those topics, maybe write it in your native language, look for the translation, and then come back and try it again. If you've got no one to practice with, you're not really sure about, or there's just no one around who you're comfortable speaking English with. Get your phone out, get your smartphone out. Normally on most smartphones, they have a voice recorder function, and use the voice recorder, speak into the voice recorder. The most important thing is that you're speaking out loud and you're actually, dictating something. Okay, so let's leave it there for this edition of 5 of 30. Catch you the next time. Take care. Okay, so that's the recording of the podcast. But I think it's a good general idea anyway, just to, if you're always trying to think, what can I talk about, just to make a list for yourself of topics and keep that list active. Like they say, like in companies and organizations, have it like a live document as such. And you can put it anywhere, really, can't you? But even if you just have like an email, you just have a draft email, and then you just add to that list. So maybe you're out having a cup of coffee, and then you go, oh, okay, I heard these people talking about whatever, water. I don't know if you can see that, talking about water. And so, okay, maybe I can talk about water, and I can talk about, if I prefer to drink bottled water, or is it safe for me where I live to drink water out of a tap, or would I need to boil it? And I guess with this is, if we sort of scroll down here a bit, this is again where we get the question words. And if we think of the question words, so we're talking about like what, who, why. Excuse my writing. My writing is not the best, but anyway. When, where, how, who, what, when, where, why, how. I suppose you get which and whether, but I guess these are the main ones. So whatever the topic is, so if we're talking about something like water, which I guess you may think, oh, this is what the fuck am I going to talk about water? But you can say like, when do I drink water? When do I like to drink water? Where do I buy water? Do I get it from the tap? Do I get it from a shop? Do I get it from like a fountain or like an old bubbler like you have in schools or like in shopping centers? When you push down the button and like the little stream comes out and you sort of tilt your head and try to drink. How do I buy water? Now with how, of course, that can be extended to lots of other things. So for example, it could be how much. So it could be in the sense of money. How much does it cost to buy water if I buy bottled water? So if I buy like a small bottle of water, so maybe like a 500 or 600 milliliters, how much does that cost compared to like a bigger bottle, so maybe 1.5 liters or 2 liters? How much does it cost? Maybe you could also do how much in terms of this. That's my attempt to draw glasses. But how much water do I drink? What's the quantity that I'm drinking? Why am I drinking water? Is it just to stay hydrated and stuff like that? Or is it for some other reason? Do I only drink water, or do I need to drink water? And you know how they talk about when you're drinking water, it's best to add something to it. So you're supposed to add like a slice of lemon or lime or orange, I think works as well, or like a tiny bit of salt, and you get the electrolytes in water. And apparently that's better. I'm not sure exactly why it's better, but I think it's like better for the absorption and something like that for the of the water or the liquid for the body. So that why am I drinking that? Why am I drinking it just to keep cool? Maybe you like to drink water because like when you're eating, you always like have a mouthful of food and then a drink of water or something. Who do I drink water? Who do I know who doesn't like water? Who do I know who only drinks bottled water or a particular brand of water or something like that? And so when you're thinking of the question words, lots and lots of ideas can come. Now, this is just talking about water. Maybe for some, it's a completely boring topic, and this is why you make up your own list of topics. But you can see just making that list and going through different sorts of ideas, thinking about the question words, then we can have lots of things potentially to talk about. Sometimes you can talk about it for a long time, sometimes for a short time. And then when you're practicing, then you can get into the idea of practicing different times. So if you're thinking, oh, okay, but Chris, I need to practice grammar as well. I don't just need sort of like vocabulary and asking questions, answering questions. I need grammar. And then that's when you can say, okay, well, how can I say this in different ways? How can I paraphrase? So it's right here. Move that up. So maybe you want to look at how you can paraphrase things. So say the same thing, but in a different way, is to paraphrase. And that's a good thing to practice. And then you can think about maybe there's a story talking about what you always do, but maybe you can then change the story, if it's real or not. That's up to you. But then you can change the story to talk about maybe something that you used to do in the past, or a story that happened before another time in the past. And you can play with the different structures. You go, okay, so how would I say this? If I want to say this thing happened last week, how do I say that? What do I need to do with the verb and everything like that? And then if I want to talk about some other times related to that, what structures do I use? And that's then how you can feed in different pieces of grammar, of course, to that. But I guess it's a case of making the efforts and trying to do that. So anyway, so here I am. How are you? How are you? I'm just talking about water. I'm going to drink a bit of water now. But how are you? Let me know in the comments. As I said, this is just a bit of a test, just to check the quality of the stream, to see how it goes, and then testing out the Wi-Fi, the internet quality, so testing out the microphone, because I've changed the microphone compared to what I did before, seeing what's possible and that sort of thing. You see an email address running down the bottom there. If you're interested in practicing your speaking, you want to come on and practice here with me, you can send us an email, chatonlessonjigsaw@gmail.com. We're going to see if we can find a time. And I think an important thing is that when you're learning English, or anything else, I guess, for that matter, is try to take control of what you're learning, and I guess how you're learning. See if have some goals, I guess, is the idea here. Try and have some targets that you're trying to achieve. Like if you're saying, okay, I want to learn English, but what are the things you want to do with English? So maybe it's because you want to travel, or maybe it's because you want to speak about certain with certain people in certain situations or about certain topics. Maybe you have a presentation that you need to do, things like that. So it's good to have those sort of things. And then when you have that or those goals, and you do making the list of the goals similar to what you would do, like we were just talking before about the topics. When you have that list of goals, then it's a good idea, perhaps then to sort of like, then work backwards and go, okay, so what do I need to do to learn that? What do I need to talk about? What times do I need to talk about? And then you can start, I guess, by writing, or continue by writing, finding people to speak to, and you go through different phases, as you're learning. And then with a teacher, the advantage of a teacher is they can give you corrections and suggestions quicker, but a teacher doesn't know what you want to say. So a teacher can give you ideas about, you could say this, or maybe you mean this, but a teacher doesn't really know. And sometimes the suggestions that you may receive are not exactly, maybe there's like specific words in your language that you would use, but you don't know what they are in English. And then it's a case of writing them down. Write them down in your language and research them, and then come back and use them. It's like anything. It's like anything to do with languages and maybe other things as well. If you don't use it, it's not going to help. I mean, I can watch as many football videos as I like, but it's not going to actually help me, play football better unless I'm actually on the field, like kicking the ball and practicing. You have to be out there practicing. And this is the same, like if you're listening to stuff, if you're listening to this and you're going, okay, Chris, yeah, okay, good, yeah, I'll do that. But you have to actually do it. You have to action it. And it's like, if I give you a word, if you look at on Instagram or wherever, and you find like a word of the day or something, or like a structure or a sentence, you go, oh, okay, that's really good. Unless you're actually really trying to use it, the chances of remembering it are pretty small. The same if you're like reading a book or watching a movie or listening to a podcast or whatever it is. Whenever you're receiving input, you have to do something with it. This is why, like for example, there's two things, I guess. You do things for enjoyment, and you can also do things for learning and the learning aspect of it. And like if you're watching a movie, it might be worth, if you're saying, okay, I want to learn some English, from this movie. You might want to consider breaking the movie up. So instead of watching the movie all in one go, so maybe it's like an hour and a half or 2 hours or more, instead of doing that whole chunk all together and then just going, oh, okay, yeah, the movie was good, maybe it's worth sort of watching, I don't know, half an hour of the movie. And then if you're watching the movie with someone, talk to them about the movie, sort of summarize what's been happening, maybe talk about the characters, talk about what maybe you would do in that situation, what other people could do, what different options there are, talk about maybe what they're wearing, what the place is like. Again, you go through the question words: who, what, when, where, why, how. And you think of different things to talk about, but always with the idea of you're trying to say what you want to say. This is I guess the most important and possibly motivating thing, is that you're trying to communicate messages that you want to say. And I guess if you do that sort of thing, so you watch the movie for half an hour, chat about it with a person, or if there's no one around, maybe just write some notes for yourself, or write some sentences, paragraphs. As much as possible, it should be, you want to be looking at making sentences. Yeah, obviously it's good to have notes for you then to expand on, but the idea is to make sentences as much as possible. So doing the sentences, and paragraphs, and then going back to watching maybe the next half hour, and so on. You can follow that along. So anything where you're receiving input, try and do something with it. You know, even if you're reading an article, you know, you should try and think of, you know, what can I do? How can I summarize this? You know, what if I was a journalist? You know, what questions would I be asking the people involved about this? You know, what do I think my friends or family would say about this particular story or this particular article, and so on. So just some ideas. Let me know what you think in the comments. Write down your thoughts, your ideas. This is the key. It's about being active. So I'm going to leave this this test broadcast there. As I said before, you've got the email address down the bottom there. chatonlessonjigsaw@gmail.com if you want to get in touch. I'm going to be doing some live streams at different times, as long as I get the internet and everything sorted. You know, there's technical issues sometimes, but yeah. So I hope you're having a great day. Catch you next time. Take care. Bye.